This is Electric Universe Geology Earth News, once again making a detour to Mars. This crater, the name of which intimidates me, I'll have it written at the bottom, and I'll have the name of this YouTube video will be the name of the crater. You can pronounce it for yourself. I've been spending a lot of time looking at it, and it's just creating more questions than answers. As I said in the comments section below, the inside of the crater would be leeward, and it's a cliff, especially at the very top. You can see that in different images. The outside of the crater would be windward and something of a water ski ramp. Although it's starting to look more and more like this might be ejecta to me, to some degree, with the other factors involved, with material being swirled in. But then it seems like it might have been covered up by this material that was removed from the center of the crater, possibly. This is becoming my A position. But there's a lot of other interesting little details. These areas up here look like ejecta, look like they're flowing outwards. I was looking for swirl. I was thinking it might be counterclockwise, but I don't think so now. And you have these rills, and they're really interesting. It looks like what happened here was coming in this direction and entered here. The crater was created and it exited here. The reason I say that is, I'll zoom in. This side of the crater seems to be filled in to a degree. The other side of the crater seems to be cleaned out more, as if it was exiting and taking away something that was already laid down, where it was the opposite on the other side. Something came in, created a rill, and then it was covered up, possibly by ejecta or possibly by swirling material, or a combination. Here are the cliffs that I referred to. I'm not sure if this is ejecta. I don't think so. I think this might be material that was being laid down in a dusty model from above, and then ejecta might have been thrown out of here electrically. I don't think it's an impact. The odds of this happening in the midst of these rills, it seems like there's only an electrical explanation. The odds of that being an impact crater with these rills, I don't see where the rills would be connected to an impact crater. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. The other thing I wanted to mention is that Billy Elverton, when he releases material from above while there's an electromagnetic event going on, creates rills like this, not by excavating them, but by the material that's being laid down it avoids certain places because of the electromagnetic process that's taking place. So the canyons aren't excavated, they're prevented electromagnetically. So that could be part of this process. This might be taking place while dust is coming down, while these are being prevented the way Billy does. I'll have a link to the Valles Marineris video, and I'll also have a link to the experiment that Billy did while Ben Davidson was visiting. And you can see where there's prevention of deposition electromagnetically. That could be a factor here. The other thing that I pointed out in the comments section is there's an incredible number of craters here. It's just full of them. And this is the north side of Mars. The south side of Mars has the really big, densely packed craters, although this is nothing to sneeze at. By the way, this is about 4 miles across. I said it was insignificant in the first video. It is, compared to the craters in the southern hemisphere, which are truly massive. So a 4-mile crater compared to what you find in the south is really chicken feed. But you know, a 4-mile crater is a 4-mile crater. It's kind of a big deal, bigger than a meteor crater. So comment section would be cool if people want to chime in. Is it ejecta? Is it swirling dust? Is it impact? I find it fascinating. And, is this the entry point? Is this the exit point? Does that have nothing to do with it? There's a lot of questions, which is really nice. Anyway, thank you. I also wanted to briefly mention another way of looking at Mars, something different than the northern hemisphere being excavated to a great depth, which would require massive amounts of current, which is available, but it's nice to make it as simple as possible, I think. So another option, not to say this is the only one, is that even though the northern hemisphere, which we're looking at, which again has insane numbers of craters, compared to the southern hemisphere, this is nothing. So the southern hemisphere might have grown much, much faster in altitude because of an electromagnetic event going on while there was dust in the air, increasing the depth of the southern hemisphere, while the northern hemisphere grew. You can see there's growth going on here in these layerings with the map with the color showing depth and altitude. So it's just a different way of thinking growth instead of excavation. One seems less demanding, although again it's A, B, C, D proposition, but just another way of looking at it. Thank you again.